And today, it's official. At least announcement is official. Dave Aranda signs an extension through 2029. I know, signed that contract back in the last 7-8 days in January, but it's kind of just taken some time for Baylor to announce it officially, and so here we are with that.
Yeah, 2029, and obviously, I've already seen the comments on the board, and, somebody's got to be that guy on Twitter who wants to say, well, it doesn't mean he's going to be there until okay, we get it. Like, yeah, you're right. But what it does do is it makes that buyout a lot bigger of a buyout, I would imagine. It also secures some of his assistant coaches, and who knows what else is in that deal. Obviously, it was kept very under wraps, and we're never going to know a money figure because Baylor's a private school. So I'm not sure we'll ever really, get our heads around what all was a part of this deal. But it's a sign that, he's just strengthening that bond and that relationship, and doesn't mean that there won't be teams next year if something opens up to try to holler at Dave Aranda, but it's going to make it more difficult to do so and more in Baylor's favor to do so. So they needed to make that move, and I think to have him locked down and looking like he's going to be around for a while, that should only help with recruiting and all other areas of the football program. So, yeah, I mean, between all the new buildings going up and the season they had last year and now this announcement, and now that's done. Thankfully, that's done. There's no more questions. Where's the announcement? Where's the announcement? We got it. And so, yeah, big sigh, not a sigh of relief because I never doubted that he was signed up, but just a nice thing to be able to kind of check off and move on from. And I'm a big fan of his. I think most people are. And, so long as he's the head coach, I'm not going to really worry too much about Baylor football and them being competitive.
Well, he has signed it. He has signed it for quite some time, as we have reported. He agreed to it many months ago, and I say many months ago, back towards the end of the football season, and there was a chance, even back in November, that it was official, and then he and Mack Rhoades, Dave Aranda and Mack Rhoades, have a pretty damn good relationship, and now it's announced and it's finalized. So think about this with the Big 12. Luke Fickell, Cincinnati, he is signed extension with Cincinnati. We do know that others will still try to take a run at him, as they should, just like they would probably and should with Aranda. Dana Holgorsen extension, University of Houston. So 2/4 of the incoming Big 12 teams for 2023 have their coaches tied up, and Baylor has their coach and Dave Aranda tied up as well. And there will be others along the way.
Don't forget Kalani Sitake at BYU signed an extension last September.
Yep.
So he got that done right as the season was getting underway. And then there was the rumors, how involved he might be in some of the jobs that opened up there on the West Coast in particular. But, he had signed that extension with BYU back in September, and, we had talked to him a couple of times. And so, actually 3/4 of the new coaches that will be coming in, whenever they come in, they will be under, newly reworked long-term deals. So, that's good. So I guess the only one would be Malzahn, but he just, basically got there. So no need for him. And he hadn't done enough to warrant an extension at this point. So he's the only one, but he's also new. So that's understandable. And I just hope that when all is said and done, that Luke Fickell is there gracing the sidelines of Cincinnati when they open Big 12 play. Kalani Sitake's at BYU and Dana Holgorsen's at Houston and so on and so forth. But I have great confidence that Dave Aranda is going to be around for Baylor for a while. I think he's got a good gig. I think it's a good spot for him. There's not too much of a spotlight, but there is enough of a spotlight to where you're not just sitting in a dark corner winning and nobody's paying attention. They garnered a lot of attention this year, and he in particular did, probably more so than any player on the team or even the team in general. Dave Aranda's name was talked about at length many, many times throughout the year. So, exciting day to have that locked up and done and now official.
And the Albany game is, is official. Opening game of 2022. We'll hear from their coach, Greg Gattuso. He'll join us at 4 o'clock today. Also today, Doug Gottlieb will join us, Fox Sports Radio at 5:15. And then John McClain kind of look back at the Super Bowl weekend, Hall of Fame inductees and all of that back around. And Lovie Smith, the head coach of the Texans, and John McClain spoke with us about him last week. And of course, now it is official. He'll join us. So the University of Albany football team, and again, this is a game that really, there weren't many options. Once Louisiana Tech and Baylor went their separate ways, Mac said it, told us last week, slim pickings. Now, Albany's played BS competition every year since 2015. Back in 16, they beat Buffalo 22-16. They have had the last year, they only played 4 games because of shutdowns or whatever else. They were 1-3. They've had a pretty good run. They've beaten teams that have been a part of that FCS picture before, like Stony Brook and a couple of others. So we'll hear from Coach Gattuso and how this all went about. No Mac Rhodes today. This was planned for him not to be available today, but we will get him on as soon as we possibly can. One other note.
That's a game that Baylor should win by 60. I mean, all due respect to Albany, but getting them as late as they did, I don't think they're really in a position where they could kind of gauge a really tough opponent or find one at this stage. So you kind of knew that it was going to be a step down from Louisiana Tech no matter what direction that they went. But, just based on what little we know of Albany at this point and, just being realistic. Baylor should win that game huge, and that should be your typical season opener where you win big and your backups play in the fourth quarter and all of that. That's what I would expect. And, it might not be the most fun game or whatever, but if you're a Baylor fan and you're looking to go to that season opener, there's one of two ways to go. You either have the big marquee opponent and you get all excited like Bama, Clemson or whatever, or you have a team that you're supposed to beat and you get that one win and then you move on to that big BYU game the following week, and we know that they have that one very much on their radar because they brought it up a bunch in passing conversations. So it's like Texas Southern or whoever else that they would typically be playing. Not quite La Tech, though. That would have been interesting to see, especially back-to-back weeks with BYU, but this definitely should work out better in their favor.
So we'll have Coach Gattuso again on at 4 o'clock today. Meanwhile, today, Scott Drew met with the media. We will hear from part of his media presser here in a moment, but it was confirmed, Coach Drew